Hey guys, welcome to Battlefield 3 Gunmaster Tips and Tricks with myself, Whoopsie Yaya. I'm not saying I'm a pro, but I do win Gunmaster quite often, and that's mainly because I follow a set of rules and tricks, and today I'm gonna share those rules and those tricks with you guys. Because maybe some of you guys have problems with Gunmaster, getting in the top 10. And maybe you guys just want to improve your gameplay in Battlefield Gunmaster, and I'm sure these tips and tricks will really help you. This is the first video of 3. In this video I'm gonna give you some tips which I believe will make the biggest difference to your gameplay if you're a beginner. So if you're a beginner, these tips should really get you ahead. The second video is for advanced players and how you can get into the top 5. And the third video is about how you can get those extra kills that will help you become Gunmaster. Okay, let's get started. In this video I'm going to discuss the following topics. I'm just going to read them out. Minimap, observation, flanking, camping versus running and gunning, the optimal distance for each weapon, going around corners, teammates, and using the knife. The first topic is the minimap. I'm sure you already know that the minimap is really important, and I just want to say at this point that this also applies to Gunmaster and that you should always keep your eye on it. Have a look at the following 3 clips. In all of these clips I use the minimap to find out where my enemies are. In this clip an enemy appears on the minimap just for a short period of time, but that is enough for me to locate him and secure that kill. So my tip for you would be to look at the minimap as often as possible. I don't do it myself as often as I should. When I rewatch videos of how I play, I realize that I miss a lot of stuff on the minimap. In this clip and the next, I use the minimap to predict the movements of my enemies. It's important to remember that you are as well visible on the minimap after you shoot your gun for about 3 to 4 seconds. My tip for you would be to take cover for 2 to 3 seconds. Be prepared for any enemies that are advancing on your position, and then after 2-3 seconds I suggest you change positions, and when enemies do appear, checking your old position, you'll be able to surprise them from your new position. So just to summarize, you should use the minimap to locate your enemies and to predict the movement. My tip for you would be to look at the minimap as often as possible, for example when you're reloading or after you've just killed an enemy. And also to remember that you are also seen on the minimap for 2 to 3 seconds after you have fired a non-silenced gun. Potentially you can take cover for 2 to 3 seconds and then move to a new position. When enemies come to check your old position, you can surprise them from your new position, which they do not expect. The second point is looking around when you move across the map. What exactly do I mean by that? By that I mean that whenever you enter a new area of the map, that you should carefully check all the corners and flanks for enemies. My tip for you would be that you advance methodically. You move ahead to a new area, look around, check if there's any enemies, then move ahead and then repeat. Just like you have seen it in this clip. And this really pays off, as you will see in this clip. I first check the stairs and then the hallway, and voila, there is an enemy there. And if you don't do it, like I do in this clip, where I get greedy and don't check my left flank, it can get really dangerous, and often you will not see an enemy who will then proceed to kill you. And another small tip, do look behind yourselves from time to time, just to check if there's an enemy behind you, like in this clip, because you are playing close quarters and the probability that somebody is flanking you from behind is quite high. So always remember to check your sideways and your corners, especially if you think there's an enemy nearby. Number 3, flanking the enemy. An alternative to prolonged firefights is flanking your enemies. Essentially you take a less traveled route and surprise your enemies from behind, like in this clip. On average, this should yield you 2 to 3 kills. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but in a good scenario you could get up to 5 or even 6 kills. Like in this clip, if I had shot properly, I would have netted myself 3. In my opinion, you can use this method to rapidly increase the amount of kills you get in a certain time, which is very important in Gunmaster. In this clip I just want to demonstrate the advantages of flanking your enemies. Here I'm trying to hit this guy with the spaz, but the distance is too long and I don't really want to go into that room because there's a lot of enemies there. So what I do is I go the long way around, and I don't want to go right in here because there's a lot of enemies. I'm really gonna go all the way around so I can get really close to my enemies and get those kills with the spaz from close range where it's most effective. And here I get my 3 kills. And keep in mind that the enemies will also try to flank you, so always check your 6. Number 4. Camping versus running and gunning. On first sight it might appear quite a good idea to sit somewhere and camp, and you might get a really good KD, but the danger is that you're not gonna get your kills quick enough. And the player who wins Gunmaster is the one with the most kills and not the one with the best KD. I've never seen somebody who camps all the time win Gunmaster. Especially at the beginning, it's better to run around and look for enemies. However, if you have problems with the sniper rifle, it might make sense to camp somewhere where you have a good view of enemy pathways. Also, there are some exceptional positions where it can make sense to camp as soon as you get to the assault rifles, like here on the Zebra Tower. However, if no enemies appear in your sight, then go look around for the enemies, because as I said earlier, it's really important that you make as many kills as quickly as possible. Number 5. The optimal distance for each weapon. Each weapon has a distance at which it is most effective. Most effective in the sense that in a particular situation you have an advantage above your enemy. A simple example, you have a shotgun and your enemy has an assault rifle. At short distances you will have the advantage, but at long distances your enemy will have the advantage. My tip for you is to create the perfect situation for each weapon. Like in this clip, I wait until the enemy is right in front of me, where I have the advantage with my shotgun. So think about at which distances you want to engage your enemies with which weapon. I'm going to go through a few examples. The machine guns in Gunmaster have a really high recoil and are not really effective at high distances. I try to engage my enemies with the machine gun at distances of 5 to 10 meters, just like in this clip. The M417 is really effective at long distances, but it's also quite good at short distances because it makes up to 50 damage. However, at medium distances, like you will see in this clip, it's not the best choice. However, don't forget that all weapons can kill at almost any distance, so from time to time do try your luck. Number 6. Going around corners. If you suspect there are enemies around the corner, I would suggest you carefully move around the corner. Have a quick look to see what's out there. This can give you a significant advantage. If you jump around the corner without looking, and there are several enemies in the room, they're probably gonna get you killed. However, if you have a quick look around the corner, you know what's expecting you and you can make a quick decision about whether to engage the enemy or completely avoid the firefight, because maybe there are 4 enemies and they all look in your direction. Always be mentally prepared to open fire when you look or move around the corner, like in this clip. But there isn't an enemy behind every single corner, and in Gunmaster you have to move around quite quickly across the map to get as many kills as possible. Also, a lot of players will run very quickly in circles around the map, and if you're too slow, they will surprise you from behind. So, my tip for you: if you suspect there are enemies in your area, carefully look around the corner to check if that is the case. Number 7. Teammates. Generally in close quarter games and in Gunmaster, you shouldn't rely on your teammates at all. For example, just because a couple of teammates just ran past you doesn't mean that there are no more enemies in the area, just like in this clip, so don't make any assumptions. You also cannot expect your teammates to hold a flank. You need to assume that they can be overrun by the enemy anytime. In this clip I make just that mistake. I assume my teammates hold the right flank, but both of them get killed, and me as well. And even if there are several teammates behind you, you cannot assume that you cannot be killed from behind, just like in this clip. Using the knife. Ideally you should only use the knife once, which is to win the game at the end. Using the knife otherwise is not gonna get you ahead, and you're not gonna get any new weapons. You will just miss out on the opportunity to advance. There are really only two exceptions in which you should use your knife. The first one is when you have spent all your bullets and you're really close to the enemy, at which point you do not have a choice anymore. The other exception would be if somebody's already at the knife or the grenade thrower. If you knife him from behind with an animation, he will be set back to the grenade launcher, and that might give you another extra 1 or 2 minutes to make your kills. However, that is quite risky, because if he knives you, he will win the game, and for him it's enough if he knives you from the front. Also, it can be quite hard to identify the person that's currently using the grenade thrower in all the chaos and panic. And also, depending on the weapon set you play with, your enemy might be set back not to the grenade launcher, which is quite hard to get kills with, but you might be set back to something like the RPG, which is quite easy to get kills with. So my tip is to avoid knifing if possible. You really need those kills yourself. So we are already through the first part of Battlefield 3 Gunmaster tips and tricks with me, Whoopsie. I really hope these tips will help you, and soon I will translate part 2 and 3, so make sure you subscribe to my channel. If you did enjoy the video or found it useful, I would really appreciate it if you could give me a like. This helps me a lot. If you have questions to particular topics, write them in the commentary section and I will do my best to answer them for you. Well guys, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.